Ever walk past one of those pharmaceutical facilities? Those kind of nondescript buildings and wonder what's going on in there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's surprisingly fascinating. Get ready to geek out on building design because we're diving deep into Role of Architects v.pdf.
Okay, sounds good.
And let me tell you, these pharmaceutical factories are way more complex than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Did you know that landscape architects are even involved?
Really?
And they're incorporating things like Pharma 4.0 tech. Get ready for some aha moments, seriously.
Wow, Pharma 4.0, that's interesting. I'm excited to hear more about this.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Well, first we have to set the stage, right? We're talking about an industry with incredibly high stakes.
For sure.
Patient safety is paramount.
Absolutely.
So the design of these facilities has to meet incredibly strict regulations.
Right from the get-go. It's critical to understand the importance of GMP, or good manufacturing practices.
Oh yeah, those guidelines are essential from what I understand.
They really are. They dictate everything from facility design and maintenance to equipment, even personnel training.
It's all about ensuring the quality and safety of the medicines being produced.
Exactly. No room for error. And of course, everything has to be compliant with the FDA and any local codes too.
Right. Those regulatory bodies play a huge role in shaping how these factories are designed and operated.
Absolutely.
And the document even gets into things like, get this, specialized room data sheets.
Room data sheets, what are those all about?
So from what I understand, these sheets go into crazy detail.
Okay.
We're talking specifying the exact materials and finishes allowed in each and every room.
Wow, talk about attention to detail. But it makes sense considering the sensitivity of what's being produced in these spaces.
It does. You can't just slap any old paint on the walls when you're dealing with pharmaceutical production.
Right. You need materials that are easy to clean, resistant to contamination, and won't react with the medications in any way.
It's mind-boggling the level of thought that goes into every single detail.
Yeah. You've got architects, engineers, clients, and even the furniture suppliers all working together to make sure everything fits together seamlessly.
It's like building a puzzle, but in a science lab.
Exactly. And the stakes are incredibly high. Think about it. The design doesn't just impact the final product. It impacts the safety and well-being of everyone working inside the facility too.
It's a huge responsibility.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it highlights just how crucial that collaboration is between everyone involved in the process. Because we're not just talking about aesthetics here. We're talking about creating a space that functions at the highest level of safety, efficiency, and precision.
It's a whole other level of design thinking. This document mentions something called man-material flow, which sounds kind of like science fiction to me.
Man-material flow.
Yeah, I was a little confused about that. What is that, and what does that mean in the context of, a pharmaceutical factory?
Okay, yeah. Man-material flow is a critical concept in pharmaceutical facility design. And it's all about, well, imagine it like this. You've got raw materials coming into the facility at one end.
Okay.
And they move through different areas as they're processed, eventually becoming the finished product, right?
So you're saying it's like a carefully choreographed dance of ingredients and equipment.
Precisely. And the man part of it refers to how the employees move through this flow too.
Oh, I see. So you're not just thinking about where the walls go, but also how a technician moves between pieces of equipment, for example.
Exactly. And minimizing contamination risks at every single stage is paramount.
That makes sense. It's all interconnected.
It is. And to give you a concrete example, take a piece of equipment like a centrifuge, which is used a lot in pharmaceutical production.
Okay.
An architect can't just plop it down anywhere.
Right.
They need to consider its placement in relation to things like plumbing, electrical systems, and of course ensuring technicians can access it for maintenance.
Right. They've got to be able to get in there and fix things if something goes wrong.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. They have to factor all of this in while upholding those stringent cleanliness and safety standards we talked about earlier.
Wow, so you're essentially choreographing this intricate dance of people and materials, all while adhering to incredibly high standards.
That's a great way to put it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
There's more.
Oh yeah. It's not just about what's happening inside the building. The design thinking extends to the entire campus.
You mean like the landscaping and stuff?
Exactly. And that's where those landscape architects we mentioned come in.
Okay, I have to admit, I was a little surprised to see them mentioned in the context of a pharmaceutical factory.
Yeah, it seems kind of out of place, right?
Yeah. What role did they play in this whole highly specialized environment?
Well, their role might seem unexpected. but it's actually crucial to creating a successful and sustainable facility. And honestly, it speaks to a more holistic approach to design, one that really wasn't always considered in the past. We're talking about a shift towards considering the well-being of the people working in these spaces.
So it's not just like, let's pick some pretty flowers and call it a day.
No, not at all, although aesthetics do play a role. But it's more about creating a space that supports both productivity and well-being. Think about it, green spaces, where employees can take a break, get some fresh air, recharge.
Yeah, a little bit of nature can go a long way, even in a high-tech environment like that.
Exactly. And it can have a real impact on morale and even creativity.
Interesting. So they're like little oases within this high-pressure environment.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just about adding a few trees here and there. We're talking about strategically using landscaping to, say, minimize water consumption.
Oh, right. Sustainability is becoming increasingly important in every industry these days.
It really is. And pharmaceutical companies are no exception. So landscape architects are incorporating things like drought-tolerant plants and efficient irrigation systems.
Smart. It's like they're sneaking in sustainability without sacrificing the aesthetics.
Exactly. And they can even help reduce that urban heat island effect, where cities tend to be hotter than the surrounding areas.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's like creating these little microclimates within the city.
Precisely. Trees and vegetation can help cool things down naturally. Plus, they can create natural barriers and sound buffers too, which is important when you're dealing with a potentially noisy industrial facility.
Right, you don't want to be disturbing the neighbors with the sounds of pill-making machinery or whatever.
Exactly. So you see, it's all about integrating the built environment with the natural world in a way that benefits both. And this brings us to something else pretty cool. Remember we were talking about Pharma 4.0 earlier?
Oh, yeah. That definitely sounded futuristic. What was that all about again? It's like something out of a science fiction movie, right?
It might sound like it, but Pharma 4.0 is rapidly becoming a reality. And it's essentially all about integrating digital technologies and automation into every single stage of the pharmaceutical process.
Wow, so we're talking like robots making pills.
Well, not quite robots, at least not yet. But think more along the lines of sensors, data analytics, and interconnected systems.
Okay, so less C3PO, more like smart technology working behind the scenes.
Exactly. Imagine a clean room, for example, where sensors are constantly monitoring the air quality, the temperature, the humidity.
Okay.
And that data is instantly relayed to a central system that can make real-time adjustments to maintain those optimal conditions 24/7.
Wow. So it's like giving the building a digital nervous system.
Precisely. And it's all in the name of ensuring the integrity of those medications being produced.
Makes sense. You don't want any unexpected fluctuations in the environment messing things up.
Absolutely not. And it goes beyond just the environmental controls. Think about using these IoT-enabled systems, the Internet of Things, to track the performance of equipment in real time.
IoT, that's like smart devices, right?
Exactly. Imagine being able to predict maintenance needs before a problem even arises.
Oh, wow. So no more unexpected breakdowns.
Ideally.
Yep.
You're minimizing downtime and ensuring consistent production.
That's a game changer, especially in an industry where even a small disruption can have huge consequences.
Exactly. And that's why Pharma 4.0 is so revolutionary. But I'm sure you can imagine, designing for this level of technology, it adds another layer of complexity for those architects.
Oh, I bet. It's not just about drawing up walls and windows anymore, is it?
Not at all. Architects now, they need to be well-versed in all of these emerging technologies. They need to understand how to seamlessly integrate those sensors, the data networks, all of those automation systems right into the very fabric of the building.
Wow. It's like they're designing for the present and the future all at the same time.
That's a great way to put it. It's about future-proofing these facilities, creating those flexible layouts that can accommodate new equipment, new production methods as that technology continues to advance.
So they're not just building a factory, they're building a constantly evolving ecosystem.
Exactly. And it's all driven by a single, very important purpose.
It's kind of overwhelming when you think about it.
It is, isn't it? It's like we've been peeling back the layers of a really complex organism.
Yeah, exactly. With all these interconnected systems working together.
And just like a living organism, all of it, the technology, the meticulous design, it all comes back to one thing: sustaining life.
It's easy to get caught up in the impressive technology and all the design details.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're right, at the end of the day, it's all about those medications that are being made.
Exactly. Improving and saving lives, that's what it boils down to.
And that brings us back to something you mentioned earlier, the human element.
Yeah.
I mean, these facilities, for all their complexity, they're ultimately designed to support the people working in them.
That's it. Creating an environment where they can really thrive.
So it's not just about the bottom line, it's about creating a space where people can do their best work.
Exactly. Whether they're scientists or technicians, they need an environment that allows them to focus on that crucial mission.
And that makes me wonder, with technology evolving so rapidly,
Yeah, it's a constant evolution.
how can these designs possibly keep up?
It's a challenge, that's for sure. Architects are already grappling with this question of designing for technologies that might not even exist yet.
It's like trying to hit a moving target, but the stakes are incredibly high.
Absolutely. These medications, they're vital for so many people. There's really no margin for error.
So what does the future hold? Any predictions?
Well, it's tough to say for sure. But one thing is certain, flexibility will be key.
Makes sense.
These facilities need to be adaptable, able to integrate new innovations as they emerge.
It's like, how do you create a space that's both highly controlled and also able to evolve? That's a tough one.
It is. But that's what makes this field so fascinating. It's a constant balancing act, pushing the boundaries of what's possible while never losing sight of that human element.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about people, isn't it?
It always is.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We sure have.
A huge thanks to our expert for taking us on this deep dive into the world of pharmaceutical facility design.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about this stuff.
It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
How'd they hear it?
And to our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this glimpse behind the scenes of an industry that plays such a vital role in all our lives. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.